Formula E is back and it's going to be more intense than ever. Sure, there are a few things that we're going to get used to, things that are going to be very different to how we normally like to work, but my word, does it feel good to be racing again. So what do we have in store? 9 days, 6 races across 3 different tracks with one driver crowned Formula E champion come the end of it. Half a season's worth of racing in 9 days, there's no question this is going to require superhuman-like stamina and physical and mental skill from both teams and drivers. This is a never-been-done-before challenge in what's shaping up to be one of the most intense motorsport finales in history. And just to make things a little bit more interesting, the championship is anyone's for the taking. So let's get our head around what we need to know ahead of the Season 6 finale in Berlin.
The world's first all-electric race series returns.
Eyes forward, max efficiency.
Flat out, flat out.
Yes! Let's go, boys!
There's 180 points up for grabs over the next 6 races. So, theoretically, any one of these drivers, new drivers included, is in with a shot at the championship. Of course, there are favourites and likely contenders, but there's still a decent number of drivers on the grid with a real chance of glory. And the level of competitiveness and unpredictability that we've come to know and love in Formula E is likely to make room for a few surprises and shocks over the next 9 days. So talking about those contenders, let's look at the top 4 in the standings, plus a few wild cards that could look to shake things up and orchestrate a late push for the title. Currently leading the championship, but only by 11 points, is DS Techeetah driver Antonio Felix da Costa. That's not a huge lead by any means, especially with the number of points available. But the most consistent point scorer on the grid is coming off the back of a race win in Marrakesh and 2 podiums before that. Consistency wins championships, and that's one of the main reasons da Costa is where he is. He's competed in every season of Formula E for a number of different teams, but until this season, he'd found himself struggling to mount a real title push. It's a different story now though, because he's got the car and the right team behind him, and he's in a stronger position than ever. Da Costa isn't short of title competitors, but will the biggest threat to his hopes come from the other side of the garage, teammate and reigning champion, Jean-Eric Vergne? We've witnessed already some inter-team battling on the track this season, and with a 3rd championship in his sights and a return to the podium after a slow start to the season, could Vergne spoil the party for da Costa? Moving down the grid, although only 1 spot, is Mitch Evans, a driver that has really come alive this season. There's been glimpses of promise in his first few seasons in Formula E, including his and the team's first win in Rome last year, laying the foundations for more success this season. 2 podiums so far, including that dominant win in Mexico City, puts him 2nd in the standings. There's absolutely no question that Mitch Evans is a real title contender. He looks hungrier than ever, and the car has been showing great pace. 2 pole positions so far, and the unbelievable comeback last time out in Marrakesh, starting at the back of the grid in 24th to finish 6th. I, for one, am very excited about what Mitch Evans can bring to the table over the next 6 races. BMW I Andretti Motorsport are heading into the Berlin races in a pretty good position, sitting 3rd and 4th in the standings. On one side of the garage, you've got Alexander Sims, a fantastic start to the season, 2 pole positions and a win in the opening weekend. He's one of the more unassuming racing drivers on the grid, and his less hot-headed, more collected approach to racing might be exactly what's needed in the high-pressure, immensely demanding close to the season. On the other side of the garage, you have Maximilian Gunter. The young German has kicked off his campaign with his new team by becoming the youngest driver to win a Formula E race in Santiago and snatching 2nd place off 2-time champion Jean-Eric Vergne on the last lap in Marrakesh. Not only has he shown that he has the pace and ability to win races, he's also shown that he has absolutely no problem going up against drivers with far more experience than him and coming off better. 2 characteristics that give serious gravitas to his championship winning potential. If you look at the BMW drivers' point scoring this season, it looks a little bit all or nothing. But which will it be here on the team's home turf? One thing is for sure, if Sims and Gunter can consistently score points over the coming races, one of them, and potentially the team too, might just be leaving Berlin with an extra bit of silverware. But who is it more likely to be? Captain Coolhead, or the man on home soil looking to be the youngest ever Formula E champion? So going back to the number of points that are available, there's every chance that none of the current top 4 could win the championship, and victory might come from further down the grid. Now, we know that there are more than a few drivers that have shown us time and time again they have what it takes to launch a last-minute charge for the title. One of those drivers is Lucas Degrassi. So if we look at previous success in Berlin, Audi Sport App Schaeffler have dominated in recent years. Degrassi won here last season and was part of Formula E's first ever Team 1-2 the year before that. A late charge up the standings is nothing new for Lucas, and this season he's one of 2 drivers to have consistently scored points in the last 3 races. The other is current championship leader Costa. Consistency wins championships, especially in a series so unpredictable like Formula E, and as a former champion, Lucas Degrassi knows this all too well. And if we look further down the grid, Stoffel Vandoorne is in a pretty good position to round off the Mercedes-Benz EQ Formula E team's debut season. Vandoorne's had 2 podiums this season, but only a virtual race win in Formula E so far, taking the Race at Home Challenge crown. But an on-track win in these last 6 races could be all that he needs to grab his 2nd title trophy of the year. Eduardo Mortara, the Rocket Venturi driver, is another one worth keeping an eye on. Might not have made it onto the podium yet so far this season, but he's scored points in all but one of the races. Another driver definitely not worth forgetting is Sebastian Buemi, who looks like he could be setting up another end-of-season point surge that we saw last season, a surge that left him finishing 2nd in the Drivers' Championship. Buemi scored 27 points in the last 2 races after not scoring any in the 3 before that. Pole position and 2nd in the race in Berlin last season, this is a track and surface that clearly suits him. But how will he fare on the reversed layout for rounds 6 and 7? Now, we couldn't possibly talk about this race without bringing up Daniel Abt. He's back on the Formula E grid after being dropped by Audi, and he's won here before on his home soil. So surely, this time around, he has even more of a point to prove. And could that previous success see him score Neo 333 Racing's first points of the season? Finally, on the driver front, a few more changes to the lineup. René Rast joins Audi and Alex Lynn returns to Formula E, this time with Mahindra. As for the circuit layout, we've got 3 different configurations for the 6 races. The first of which sees a reverse layout of the traditional 10-turn Tempelhof circuit that's given us some awesome racing and countless overtakes over the last few years. We'll see changes to the configuration for the following 2 doubleheaders. Round 8 and 9 will see the traditional layout, the same as last season, with the final 2 rounds on a completely new 16-turn configuration, which is going to spice things up a treat for what are likely to be the races that crown the drivers and teams champions. So prepare yourself, load up the TV, load up the laptop, get the popcorn in, do whatever you need to do, because things are about to get interesting. Find out where to watch at fiaformulae.com/watch, and if you want to make absolutely sure you don't miss a thing, head over to your favourite search engine and type in Formula E calendar, follow the link to download that calendar and add it to your own.